Duration. The governor, who noted that this year's budget is the last full year of his administration, expressed hope that residents will greatly benefit from various interventions in education, health, environment, agriculture, enhanced security, infrastructure renewal, transportation, among others.
I want to assure you that this budget will be implemented responsibly. We will put up our A grade to ensure that accountability and value for money is created such that at the end of the day, Lagosians will feel the benefits, of this great work that the Lagos State House of Assembly has done.
Governor Sanwo-Olu commended the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, and other lawmakers for their due diligence, maintaining that the executive and legislative will continue to collaborate to enhance good governance. Representing the Speaker, the Majority Leader, Najim Adams, lauded Governor Sanwo-Olu's people-oriented policies, saying the budget was well scrutinized by Assembly members to reflect economic realities for the benefit of Lagosians.
The budget has been well scrutinized, and I can say here today, and the budget has been approved, and the budget is budget of shared prosperity. And we are sure that the budget will reflect the reality of today's Lagos.
Earlier, Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Okwe George, said the budget will create an opportunity to articulate intentions and direction of the state government, providing a framework for a bold fiscal policy which will accelerate economic growth.
Today's budget assent provides us the opportunity to clearly articulate the intent, direction, and delivery framework for the year 2026 budget of Lagos State, aptly themed the budget of shared prosperity. This budget reflects deliberate planning and it strengthens the foundations for a more resilient, competitive, and people-centered Lagos, one that is equipped to address present challenges while positioning for future growth.
Our correspondent Adeola Akindele reports that the 2025 budget performance as of September last year stood at 81%. The Lagos State government has moved to tighten oversight of water production and distribution, warning that unsafe water practices pose a growing threat to public health and the environment across the state. Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission, LASWACO, Oluwabukola Adeyemo, issued the warning during a one-day community sensitization and public engagement with water service stakeholders in Ekwe. Adeyemo said the engagement was designed to address the dangers of untreated water, indiscriminate borehole drilling, and poor hygiene practices, stressing that regulation and cooperation were now critical in a fast-growing megacity like Lagos. She explained that despite being surrounded by water, Lagosians could not consume most available water sources without proper treatment due to salt content, contaminants, and heavy metals, noting that reliance on poorly sited boreholes had increased the risk of waterborne diseases. Adeyemo added that ensuring safe water would not only protect public health, but also reduce pressure on already stretched medical facilities, noting that the daily water requirement in Lagos is estimated at 135 litres per person. Lawmaker representing Oshodi Solo Constituency 1, Stephen Ogundipe, has issued a strong caution to members of the public against the dangerous practice of scooping fuel whenever spillages occur. Ogundipe, who is a spokesman of the Lagos State House of Assembly, gave the warning while reacting to the Apapa incident and recurring ones across the state where residents, rather than prioritizing safety, rushed to scoop petroleum products from falling tankers or leading pipelines. According to him, fuel scooping poses grave threats to human lives, public safety, and the environment. He stressed that petroleum products are highly flammable and that even the smallest spark from mobile phones, vehicles, or nearby generators can trigger explosions with devastating consequences. Ogundipe warned that beyond the safety risks, fuel scooping is illegal and offenders may face prosecution under existing laws governing public safety and environmental protection. He urged residents to immediately vacate spillaged sites and alert relevant authorities such as the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, the fire service, and security agencies. Ogundipe called on community leaders, transport unions, and youth groups to intensify public sensitization on the dangers associated with fuel spillages, emphasizing that collective responsibility is required to prevent avoidable tragedies. He reaffirmed the commitment of the Lagos State House of Assembly to strengthening policies and public awareness campaigns aimed at protecting lives and ensuring the safety of residents across the state. Meanwhile, the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, NOA, Lanre Issa Onilu, has called on the National Assembly to urgently initiate and pass comprehensive legislation to criminalize the act of scooping fuel from falling tankers, with clear and deterrent penalties for offenders. Issa Onilu described the practice as unacceptable in a modern society, warning that it poses a serious threat to human lives and critical national infrastructure. According to the NOADG, the proposed legislation is necessary because the risks associated with fuel scooping far outweigh any perceived or imagined benefit. He recalled that Nigeria has recorded several tragic incidents in different parts of the country where fuel tanker accidents resulted in explosions and infernos after individuals attempted to scoop fuel, adding that the agency would intensify public sensitization efforts to discourage behaviors capable of endangering lives and property. Now to the rest of the stories. The federal government has adopted a public-private partnership-driven housing strategy to tackle Nigeria's growing housing deficit, placing private sector investment at the center of mass housing delivery across the country. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, announced this in Ilorin during the 14th National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development meeting with the theme Achieving Housing Delivery and Sustainable Cities Through Effective Land Management, Urban Renewal, Promotion of Local Building Materials and Public-Private Partnerships in Nigeria. Speaking through the Director of Planning, Research and Statistics in the Ministry, Mukhtar Ilyasu, the Minister said the new National Housing Framework is anchored on effective land administration, urban renewal, and strong public-private collaboration. He noted that Nigeria's housing deficit, estimated in the tens of millions, remains one of the country's most pressing socio-economic challenges, driven by rapid urbanization, population growth, rising construction costs, and weak land administration systems. According to the Minister, public-private partnerships will serve as the major engine for housing and urban infrastructure delivery, with the government providing policy support, land governance reforms, and investment-friendly frameworks to attract private capital. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Wahid Shuaibu, has charged troops of the 3-Division Nigerian Army to sustain discipline, professionalism, and commitment as they work to restore and maintain peace across Plateau State. Shaibu delivered the charge during an operational visit to the division's headquarters in Jos, where he held a strategic meeting with senior officers, unveiled renovated accommodation and office facilities, and addressed soldiers at the parade ground. Describing the military's role in Plateau as critical, the Army Chief noted that the state's unique security challenges required a disciplined and coordinated approach. He assured personnel that measures were being taken to address operational needs and welfare concerns. Now to foreign news. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has announced 3 days of national mourning for victims of a high-speed train crash that killed at least 40 people. Sanchez also promised to get to the bottom of why the 2 high-speed trains collided in southern Spain as rescuers continued to search the wreckage. More than 120 more people were injured as carriages on a Madrid-bound train derailed and crossed over to the opposite tracks, colliding with an oncoming train in Adamos on Sunday evening. The crash is the worst the country has seen in more than a decade. In our sport, Nigeria's Super Eagles moved to 26th position in the latest ranking released by the Federation of International Football Association, FIFA, on Monday. The new ranking is on the back of Nigeria's splendid run at the just concluded 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, where they placed third. The three-time African champions were previously ranked 38th in the world. Eric Chelle's side also moved to third position in Africa, behind Morocco and Senegal. The Desert Foxes of Algeria and Pharaohs of Egypt completed the top 5 teams on the continent. The Super Eagles won 6 and lost 1 of their 7 games at the AFCON 2025 finals. And that is our news at 10. Just before we go, carry out proper and adequate checks on your vehicles before setting out. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms: X at Traffic Radio 961, Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. Subscribe and watch news and programs live on YouTube at Traffic Radio 961. Visit our website on www.trafficradio961.ng. You can also listen to Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM live on My Lagos app for timely updates. Did you know that the Sanwo-Olu administration Did you know that under the Sanwo-Olu administration, 243 public secondary schools' libraries were renovated and digitized? You can get more details on the Lagos State Government website. To end the news, are the highlights of the major stories. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has signed the 2026 appropriation bill of 4.4 trillion naira tagged budget of shared prosperity into law. The federal government has adopted a public-private partnership-driven housing strategy to tackle Nigeria's growing housing deficit, placing private sector investment at the center of mass housing delivery across the country. Also told you that Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has announced 3 days of national mourning for victims of a high-speed train crash that killed at least 40 people. And in sport, Nigeria's Super Eagles moved to 26th position in the latest ranking released by the Federation of International Football Association, FIFA, on Monday. For contact with the newsroom, send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. That ends the news broadcast compiled by Abiola Fagolagun. I am Dele Agadumo. Good morning. Thank you for listening.